we see the need for our young adults to connect with our amazing business community, and for twofold, for the young adults to learn networking and really get out there and meet our business community and nonprofit community. And then on the other side, for our business and nonprofit community to find out who our future workforce is and to mentor. And I think all that magic happens through networking. I think it's important for all of us to hear what their background is, what got them where they are, and why it should encourage all of us to never give up, right? So if we could start out real quick with Pete, and you could kind of give us a little bit of your story, that would be great.
Yeah. My story is a little bit different than most people think it is. I grew up in New Jersey, in the inner city, and I grew up with not the best parents, not the best home life. And I was running the streets, running amok. And I have a 10th grade education. And, I didn't graduate high school just because I didn't have that parental supervision. I didn't have the drive. And nobody ever questioned it back then. I'm 47. Nobody ever questioned it like they do now, with child protection services and everything. Nobody did that back then. So I literally, sorry about that, guys. I literally ventured out on my own at 18 when my 4'7" Greek grandmother found me on the streets running with the wrong crowd in New Jersey and said, grabbed me by the ear in front of my friends. How embarrassing. And said, you're out of here. You're done. You're out of here. And sent me on a plane to Los Angeles to live with my cousin Lori and in LA. And she had a hell of a time with me. God bless her soul. And it took me a while to realize that I have to want more for me. It doesn't matter where I came from, where I grew up, what people did to me, what people didn't do for me. It matters what I do for me. It matters what I learn. And I went to college. I got I went to college and, got some education. And I realized that it doesn't matter what that piece of paper says. I saw so many people that had a bachelor's degree, had a master's degree, and they're waiting tables. And it baffled me. You spent all this time in education, but you're waiting tables because that piece of paper is just a conduit. That's all it is. It's not a promise to success. It's all just about people. It's how we communicate with one another. It's all just about communication, about learning about one another.
I think we lost his connection. It was like one of those powerful moments where he was right in the middle of letting us know. All right. Well, we'll put him on pause while he tries to get connection again. So we're considered everybody's time and keep moving. How about Rudy? Could you tell us a little bit about your story?
Sure. So I grew up in a small town up in Central California called Turlock, Hilmar. Small dairy town, agriculture, product of the 70s, you know what I mean? I barely graduated high school, decided to go to the military. So I joined the Navy. My mom taught me how to fold laundry and wash dishes and, cook and do all that cool stuff. But I never really had a father figure in my life or a positive male role model. I wanted to do something manly, right? One night I was partying, having a good time. Came home like at 4 a.m. and I was just going through some stuff and a Navy commercial caught my attention. And I was like, I want to see the world. And 2 months later, I joined the Navy and I gave up everything I was doing or shouldn't have been doing. Was on the USS Mount Vernon, LSD-39 amphibious assault ship. The year I went into the Navy was the last year you could be a boiler tech, a power plant operator. They're the old ships, steam propulsion. I'm a power plant operator, engineer. So I did that for 4 years. During the time I was in the military, I seen a lot of these folks get out of the military and come right back in. And it just kind of confused me, like, why are you getting out and then coming back in? And a lot of it was I couldn't find a job. And I was like, what do you mean? Like, you got the awesomest training in the world. Like, this is military. Like, and unfortunately, the military, they don't really teach you a lot of techniques and tools to be a civilian again. They don't really teach you how to communicate, enunciate, and how to really sell yourself, right? I was like, wow, how can I help these guys? And I don't want that to be me when I get out and come back in. So fortunately, I got lucky. I threw my resume on the internet, and somebody found me from a staffing company and wanted to make me a power plant operator. But I met the recruiter and I said, hey, man, I like your suit, man. I look good in a suit. I want to do what you do. And that was about 20 plus years ago. So I started with a company that put military men and women back into the civilian sector right out of the military. So it was kind of cool because I still got to I feel like I was still serving the military. So during this time frame while I was in the Navy, it's where I met my wife. She's from India. I thought she said India. She kind of looks, well, she's Mexican, but she kind of could look like she's from India too. So we kind of just hung out in San Diego. I got stuck in the staffing industry, and I've been doing it for the last 20 years. When I came out here to the Coachella Valley, I helped run some of the operations for Manpower, Kimco Staffing, for another company called At Work. And then through this time frame, I just been kind of, hitting the ground running out here. I got 2 boys, so part of my commitment is youth and parks and recreation and just staying involved in the community. And so I kind of just started watching these crazy videos online. You've probably seen them, the old City Coachella meetings. I don't know if you guys are from the City of Coachella, but those city council meetings were pretty entertaining back in the day. So I just sit there and watch them. Like, how do I get involved? Before you know it, I'm volunteering for the Chamber of Commerce. I've been part of the chambers for over 15 years now. I ended up becoming a planning commissioner for the City of Coachella for, I think, 6 years. I also became a advocate for environmental justice on the Environmental Justice Advisory Board, representing the Coachella Valley for a couple of years. And just kind of just like, I think like what Pete was saying, you basically get out of life what you put into it. I came from, I'm not gonna say nothing because I love my mom and my family, but we were poor growing up, and living paycheck to paycheck is like, it's okay. Like, I'm used to it. Been doing it my whole life. Getting extra handouts from the food banks. I've seen it. I've done it. So as far as what inspires me is failure. When I fail and when I don't fail, it's like, man, this is powerful. And I love it when I fail is because I tried. And as long as I'm not failing the same thing every time, then I know I'm doing something right. Through my trials and tribulations, I just never give up. And so this would have been my 16th year staffing the Coachella Fest. And I got on board with them 16 years ago just by walking up on the property and saying, how can I help? And not being afraid and trying to match the best people I could for the best possibilities. And a lot of what I run into out here in the Coachella Valley is a lot of our humans just need some coaching. They need some help. Pete mentioned earlier about people with, college degrees and all these education, which is great. That's a lesson. A lot of people understand that. Lessons will teach you a lot. Now, whether you paid for it financially or hardship or whatever it is, lessons are amazing. And take each lesson for what they are. And if you got to hit Control-Alt-Delete after it, do it. I recommend it. Don't let it hold you down. Don't let the lessons define who you are. And so I think through my trials and tribulations, I've been pushed to different levels. I've gotten fired a couple times. I've had to, I got one company shut down. I was in the hospital some years back, and I'm just like, geez, man, how am I going to get through this? This is a tough situation. But the only way I know how is just keep slanging and banging. I keep rocking and rolling. That's my motto, rock and roll, baby. What doesn't kill you makes you stronger. Being able to match a human into a career is so rewarding, especially when they didn't know or couldn't do it on their own just because they just didn't have the proper tools. Well, I got an amazing toolbox that can probably fix any situation as far as staffing and finding you a job. You have to be happy with who you are. And that's sometimes you got to ask yourself in the morning and at night, like, who are you? What did you do today? Is that who you are? And if it's not, then you got to redefine yourself. And I think that's what it's allowed me to be able to do and have all these relationships I've had and be able to continue my mission, is because if you try to put me in the box, that's your box, and you let me go. I'm going to keep rocking and rolling. So last year after I finished Coachella Fest and Stagecoaches, that's when they really pushed me to say, Rudy, go start your own company. Not that I didn't believe in myself or couldn't do it, but every day was pushing me and saying, come on, Rudy, you got to do this, man. There's no reason why. You're the guy. You have all the right connection. It just takes guts, right? It takes a mission. Know your mission, by the way, and stick to your mission. And don't break your mission for nobody. Nobody. And if you get some more soldiers under your belt with that's under the same mission, you can make anything happen.
You talked about your determination. It's just so inspirational. Absolutely. And I love also how you overlap into some of the same similarities that Connie Golds offers. So you help recruit, but prior to being recruiting and connecting, Connie gets them ready. And if you could tell us your story, Connie.
Okay, the whole time I'm thinking, who is this Rudy guy? You got to get me connected with him.
Exactly. I know connections are everything.
So I went to college. I grew up in a very blue collar family, and this, since we have a lot of women on the thing, there was definitely, my parents always wanted my brothers and I to go to college and get educated, because they did not. But there was definitely this sense of, that's fine, but you will get married and make babies. I think that was the pressure. The expectations were always lower for me, I will say that, than for my brothers. So I went to college, got married, came here to the Valley. I became a teacher, got my teaching credential, mainly because at the time it was, you get your teaching credential and do your student teaching all in 1 year and be one and done, and you could start teaching. So it was the easy way out. It wasn't really what I was studying in college. And I was a stay-at-home mom and a Girl Scout leader. So I did a lot of those types of things. But a few years ago, around 2005, 6, as my kids are starting to leave the nest, I went back to school and got my master's in I got an MPA, a Master's of Public Administration, with an emphasis in nonprofit management. And along the way, started Desert Best Friends Closet, which we are all about employment. Our first program was is our interview attire program, where we provide interview attire for low-income job seekers so they will look good when they go to that interview. And you're right, Rudy, women, particularly women under 30, make the biggest mistakes for that job interview, because they confuse wearing their best outfit, which is usually something more appropriate for nighttime, because they don't know. And so my background prior to starting Desert Best Friends Closet is I've worked in the deaf community. I've worked as an interpreter. I love watching all the government updates with the interpreter up in the corner. And I've taught American Sign Language. And with the American with Disability Act, the ADA, the whole point is to level the playing field for people with disabilities. Well, that's what we try to do. We try to level the playing field for our clients. We know that most of our clients, one, do not have the financial resources either in their wallet or in their closet to dress appropriately. We also know that many of our clients do not have the knowledge of how to conduct a successful job search. So we educate them on that. And we help them with their resume, and we work with their, update their, give them mock interview skills and mock interview practice. We work a lot with formerly incarcerated, so that will be something to think about. Rudy will talk about that. We have a veterans program, Warriors to Work, et cetera, et cetera. So I find it ironic is that my father wanted my brothers and I, there was always this push to go into business, because my dad was a blue collar worker. My dad was a fireman, civil service, neither of my brothers are in business, and yet here I am, the person in business. And I've learned a lot. You can do good work in the community, but unless you are running a sustainable organization with a business model that will support that, doesn't matter how good your work is, because you won't be around in another year or two. Right now, with this pandemic, we are working hard to pivot, to change some of the things that we do so that we can meet the needs of our clients, more teleconferences and things like that. And we're very excited we have our first Zoom workshop going on today with a group of clients at ABC Recovery House. So, I think adapting is very important. I'm a big believer in one person can make a difference. And I like what Rudy said about knowing your mission, knowing who you are, and always having that goal. And I think Sophia will get this, because this is from karate. If you fail at something, good, because now you know what you need to work on. Don't be afraid of failure. I think the worst thing is to be so afraid that you do nothing. And that's bad. I mean, so go ahead and take those, particularly if you're young, take those chances, make the mistakes and learn from them. Don't make the same mistakes again. But I'll stop at that.
Well, thank you so much, Connie. I just love it. I love the common thread that theme I think we're hearing now is failure is success. Let's fail. Not repeat it, but learn from it and move forward.
Well, and let me say this one thing, what is success? Oftentimes we view success as money, And in that case, I'm definitely not successful because, I'm never going to make a lot of money doing what I do. But I do feel I am a success.
I don't know, the young ones here probably have never heard of Spanx, but it's a multi-million-dollar company. And she always says that every Friday, her dad would say, "What did you fail at this week?" And she would tell him, and he'd say, "Congratulations, what'd you learn from it moving forward?" And she said that he would say, "Oh, leave the compliments and the praise to your mom. I'm the one that's going to ask about how did you fail." And I just thought that was so interesting. Here, now she's got this. Not that money matters, but it's a lovely indicator of she failed and succeeded and learned.
My question is more directly to Rudy. What has been the most rewarding experience you've had?
I think the rewarding thing for me, as far as the business that I'm in, is to be able to make success stories of the unknown, and changing the unknown to a stability of a good future.
How about Melanie? You have a question?
I didn't think of any questions. I heard a quote that I wrote down from a book that I read like 2 days ago. And it's, losers quit when they fail, but winners fail until they succeed. And I just thought that was super relevant and I loved it. So I just figured I'd share it.
Sophia, input or a question?
I couldn't really come up with a question. Everyone's stories were amazing to listen to, but I really relate to Connie because we've done karate for a couple years together, and we both agree that failures do lead towards success. That it is true. If you fail, you learn from your mistakes and you can continue forward with it.
Edra, how about you? Input or question?
I got my prom dress from my Desert's Best Friend's Closet, and they had a fashion show a couple years ago, and I was in the fashion show for that.
And Caroline, do you have a question or input?
Just a general question. Anyone can answer it. I'm just curious if you could give your younger self a piece of advice, what would it be? Because I'm 23 and I just graduated from college last May, so I'm just curious, what you would tell your younger self.
Keep rocking and rolling. Don't give up. You're going to fail. They're going to discriminate against you because of all the reasons you can think of in your mind. You're not smart enough. You don't have the proper education. You're not this or that. And so just get through all that already in your mind and just overcome that. And when you get that chance, prove yourself. And then if you like it, stay there. And if you said that was cool, this is it, all this for that, find something else.
It's funny. I was asked by Ophelia to do an inspiration speech, and I do a lot of presentations, but no one's ever asked for an inspiration thing. So I did this whole thing, what would I tell my younger self? And some of the things, ideally talking to myself in high school, because I was talking to high school girls. But a couple of things, I think, number one, you need to find a cheerleader, people who are going to cheer you on. Oftentimes it's your family, but it isn't always. It wasn't mine. So find your cheerleaders and be someone else's cheerleader. I think that's really important. And I think you need to, again, I'm a big thing on the failure, be willing to fail, take some risks, obviously not stupid risks. I'm not jumping out of an airplane, but take some risks, particularly because you're young. And I think it's easier to take some risk when you're young, because then if you do fail, you can recover from that and you'll learn. So don't be afraid to learn from your failures, which I think is important.
Okay, thank you.
And I'd probably also tell my younger self to volunteer more and expand my world, right? So get uncomfortable. To be comfortable, you got to do uncomfortable things, and you got to push yourself. And I agree, Connie, you have to have a network of humans that you can go to and just vent to. One thing I would have told myself as younger is to shut up, Rudy. Shut up. You don't know everything. And you don't have to have an answer for everything. And you're not supposed to understand everything. That's my 2 cents.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
That's awesome. Uncomfortable, best word ever. Uncomfortable. Jessica, what's your question?
Yes, my question is to Connie. So I understand that it's very important to network. So what if you go to a mixer and you don't know anybody and you do force yourself to speak to at least 2 people? How would you start a conversation to a stranger?
A lot of it would depend on the situation, but let's say that you're getting food at the little buffet, and of course there will be no buffets in our future, just so that you guys know that. But say something. Oh wow, that you talk about this. You're stupid. You talk about the weather. You find something to connect on, or or what is it you do? Oh wow, I'd like to know more about that. What's the favorite thing about your job, or what is it? What makes you happy to get up in the morning? You have to find something kind of that conversation starter. I try to make it simple. I'm not super clever, but something very simple and just to be real. Don't try to be someone else. Don't try to, great don't look on the internet, great conversation starters or icebreakers. Find something that is true to you. And I think that is something, being true to yourself is always really important.
And Connie, I'll piggyback off of that. Being genuine goes a long ways. You may not know anything, but if you're talking to somebody and they feel you're genuine and you're a real human, you're going to learn. You really are. And Jessica, part of what I used to do and I still do is if I'm going to a mixer or somewhere I know I'm going, I'm going to see who else is going. And I'm going to be like, do I know this person? Man, this guy's awesome. This girl's awesome. I'm going to find this person. I'm going to do some research. I might even stalk them on LinkedIn, right? And do some research, right? Because that's something we forget to do sometimes.
Yes, I did. So is a genuine compliment. So if I'm wondering what the heck can I talk about? But I feel like, because personally, I don't really talk about the weather. It's always hot, it's always hot. So I always go in and I kind of assess the person's attire and I find something that I genuinely like and I start with that compliment.
How about Heather? Heather, do you have a question or an input?
I had a question. It seems like we've got so many experts who are entrepreneurs on the call today. I was wondering if people would mind giving a piece of advice for entrepreneurs or something that you need to have in your makeup or your personality to be successful as an entrepreneur. And that includes you, Kimberly.
Great question. Connie?
I think numbers and financials often intimidate people, and oftentimes they want to hand off the bookkeeping, running of the financials, the QuickBooks to someone else. And so I always caution people, yes, you could do that, but you always need to keep tabs on the numbers. You should know what your sources of revenue are. You should see what your biggest expenses are, and never abdicate or give up control of everything. Take that QuickBooks class, take some financial education so that you do feel comfortable with the numbers, because you don't want to do, I don't know.
Know all your positions in the company you're going to start up and know them all. You don't have to be an expert at all of them, and then know your power and know your weaknesses. And whatever your weakness is, find someone to do that job, but know it at least.
You really have to know everything about your business before you kind of just delve into it. You want to wear all the hats because you're the one responsible at the end of the day. So just know that, you can do it and stick by it and never give up.
To kind of thank everybody for coming, taking time out of your valuable schedules. Pete texted me. He said Zoom's not letting him back in, but I talk about having a rough background and being an amazing inspirational networker. Yay, well, good. Well, I'm so thankful you all came here. I would be honored to be all of your cheerleaders. So whenever you need promoting or exciting, just you're doing great, let me know, because I'm all about that. And I just really I'm just so thankful for this absolute experience right here. And although I wish I could be physically hugging all of you, because I just want to hug all your necks, I realize that this is what we've got right now, and I just am so grateful for your time and your energy and your wisdom, and can't wait to see you again. I hope you'll all join us again in 2 weeks. We did a Survey Monkey, and all the connectees said that the second and fourth Tuesday of the month works for them at 4. So if that works for you guys, please just jump in anytime. And I just want to thank you all. Thank you so much. Have a great night.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye,
you.
Kim.
Bye. Bye, you guys.
Thank
Thank you, everybody.
Bye.